So this is, in a nutshell, our kind of people, our objective in that space. So we want to recruit and retain the very best people, and we want to get the very best out of them. And we think that our working environment does directly affect our success in that area, and that people will perform at their best when you get the working environment right. I've identified 3 areas, so I called them our golden trinity, 3 kind of components of the working environment that I'm going to talk about in a bit more detail. The first is our physical environment. So we follow a lot of principles that are probably not that unusual to many of you here. So we have an open plan office, completely open plan. So nobody, not even the CEO, has their own private office. We've also tried to maintain an aesthetic of quite an open, fluid space. Particularly with things like our meeting rooms, so those are glass-walled to ensure that we sort of maximise the flow of natural light in the building, and also so that we don't have a sense of physical separation or isolation in the office. We do have the kind of, it's almost an obligatory thing now for sort of small to medium companies, we have a game space. At Swiftkey, we're table tennis people, not pool or football, I'm afraid. And throughout our office, we do have areas and features where we try to encourage interaction and collaboration and creativity. So we have things like ideas, walls and project spaces, and all of those types of things. But alongside those things, there are other things we do to try to encourage our employees to take ownership of their space. When people pass their probation, we present them with their Willy Wonka voucher. I've brought one along with me today, so you can see where the name comes from. It's a gold envelope, and in the envelope is a little page of inspiration, and then the voucher itself is not actually a retail voucher, it's representative only, so it's kind of Swiftkey's equivalent of Monopoly money, but what it is in real terms is £100 that employees can spend on items to improve their working environment and their enjoyment at work. And there are 2 quite deliberate things about the voucher. One is that there are deliberately few rules about how it can be spent, and that's to encourage people to think expansively and creatively. And the other is that it's a deliberately quite a small amount of money, so we try to set it at a level where it's possible for someone individually to make some meaningful purchases with it, but also where it encourages people to join forces with colleagues and pool their vouchers together to get some slightly larger or more ambitious items. And we've had some really incredible ideas come out of that. So this photo shows a few of them. I'm sorry it's not a brilliant photo there. The inflatable dinosaur was just someone's individual purchase, but what I particularly like are the keyboard and the drum kit. Those were both collaborative purchases, so we actually have a lot of musicians at Swiftkey. Sadly, I'm not one of them. Don't have any talent in that direction, but we do have a lot of musicians. A lot of people have clubbed together and have bought these bits of kits, and we've now got, as a result of that, we've got some sort of informal music lessons also going on throughout the week. And what you can't quite see, it is on there, but it's sort of out of shot. To the left behind the dinosaur, there's also the corner of an arcade machine. So we had a few guys clubbed together. They made their own arcade machine, so they bought the sheets of MDF, they cut all the panels, they did all the electrics, they put the buttons and joysticks and things in, and then they painted and decorated the outside of that. We haven't had electrical safety checks, but it's a fabulous project. So that's an idea of some of the things that people have used their Willy Wonka vouchers for. The second area that I want to talk about is our company policy. So I think when people think about working environment, they often think about just the physical surroundings. But I think ever since we started taking on our first employees, we quickly realised that actually our employment and company policies that we created and enforced are just as important a part of what goes into making up your working environment. So I think you can have the nicest physical surroundings in the world, but if you don't underpin that with good employment policies and good terms and conditions, then you send out a very contradictory message. So this is the second thing I'm going to talk about. As an employer, we want to set a good example. We want to act in a responsible way. It's one of our company values that I'll come on to later. And we want to attract kind of rounded individuals with a lot to offer the company. We've introduced a number of policies to help us do so. I hope you can read those there. I'll quickly take them in turn. So about 18 months ago, we formalised a policy to grant all of our employees an annual Potter paid time off to do voluntary work. So the photo in the background here is one of our software engineers, Podi, and he's helping to teach at a code club for local primary school children. And this was quite a big deal for us at the time, because we were still pre-profit as a company when we introduced this. We were also working flat out to build the momentum around Swiftkey, to grow our revenue, grow our customer base, and also just to recruit fast enough to support all the different functions in the business. So it was a busy time for us, but we felt it was important to do this. We wanted to make a positive impact on the community around us. And I think there's a lot of sort of social research out there that actually shows that people are happier when they feel they're part of a community and they're able to play an active role in that. And we also had some of our own employee surveys that told us that our employees are very highly motivated by being able to give something back, and comparatively less motivated by money. The second one on the list there, we offer flexible working. We have strong links to Cambridge University, and around 20% of our staff still live in that general area. And we also have some others who are travelling in from further afield as well. So some people come from the South Coast, others coming from Wales. We have 3 core days where we ask everyone to work from the office, and outside of those, people are free to choose how to use their time. We do make quite heavy use of video conferencing to support the people who work remotely. And this links back to the previous section on the office environment. We actually find it's relatively few people who choose to work away from the office. And I think for me, one of the kind of acid tests of whether we're getting that office environment right or not is whether people choose to come into the office or not when they've actually got a free choice.